Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the 11th episode of Fiberside Chats. I'm so excited to have you here with us today. And my special guest today is going to be Yochani of um, Small Beginnings Farm, forgive me, Small Beginnings Farm. I'm so excited to have her here to talk not only about farms, and there's shearing day going on at her farm. So that's like super exciting for anyone that's a shepherd and also a spinner, because that means that the goodies are going to be coming to us soon, but also to talk about the tech side of fibers. So if you are joining us for the first time, the way that it's going to work is that I'm just going to have a conversation with some questions that I have for Yochani for her to answer. And then if you have any questions or comments that you would like me to share with her, feel free to go ahead and put them in the comment section on the Facebook comment area, and I will go ahead and read them to her afterwards. Okay, so without further ado, thank you so much for coming today, Yochani. I really appreciate having you today on Fiberside Chats.
Thank you so much for having me.
So yeah, so today I'm really excited, as I said, because, you know, as fiber artists, right, we really deal more with tactile physical materials like yarn and wool and the tools like spinning wheels and knitting needles and all that good stuff. But there's a lot that goes into running a fiber business that goes beyond just the harvesting of the fiber or the dyeing of the yarn. And so I'm really curious, when I put out a call for all of the woolen fiber art vendors, for those that were willing to join me during these Fiberside Chat interviews. And I know you graciously agreed to do it. And so I'm kind of curious, like, what would your title be, or, you know, how do you see yourself in this fiber art world? Because I know you said you're not necessarily the shepherd or the one that actually works with the fiber themselves. So I'm kind of curious, like, what would you call yourself or your job description?
So I do a little bit of a lot of things, but my main job is all the computer part. So I contact all the customers, I set up the orders, I post on Facebook and Instagram, I make little videos of the sheep. And I've just now started getting into making sheep milk soap here in my house. And I've dabbled with needle felting. So I do a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly it's computer related.
So now the farm that you work on, that's your parents' farm, correct?
Yeah, my parents are my neighbors, and
Okay.
they've had the sheep since, well, back when I still lived at home before I got married. They've had the sheep for probably 15 years now, about. And they started off with 2 pregnant ewes and a ram. And they came on a very cold day in North Carolina, and we had never had sheep before. We'd had goats as a child and a cow and tons of chickens, but sheep were new, and we've had them since.
So what got your family into farming and raising sheep and then the whole fiber art world?
We're pretty different from most farmers in that we're not really farmers. My dad's a doctor. He's the medical director, or he was the medical director of the health department for 30 years, and he just retired last year. We got sheep because my youngest brother was having allergies to regular milk, to cow milk, to raw cow milk, to goat milk. So we thought we'd try sheep milk because sheep milk is a lot gentler on the stomach, and it helped. He was able to drink milk without a rash, so we kept the sheep.
We still Wait, so you got the sheep before he even tried the milk, or
yes,
did you try the milk first?
We got the sheep before he tried the milk. The sheep came from North Carolina. We're in Florida, and they showed up, and they didn't have milk for the first several months because they were pregnant. So we had to wait for that.
Wow. So like you said, your father was a doctor. So where did this whole like having animals come from? I mean, that seems like when you're a doctor, that seems like that requires a lot of your time, both in the schooling and then, you know, during the day. That, and I know obviously being a farmer, or at least raising the animals, takes a lot of time too. So how was that? How did that come to be?
I'm not sure how it came to be. I think that, okay, so my parents are both from New York. We moved to Texas where I was born, and then we came to Florida when I was 3. We've been here since. And when we moved to Florida, we kind of embraced the country life and started out with chickens and a few goats, and we kids were in charge of the animals because there's a lot of us. And my brothers just took on the sheep part, and it's kind of passed down from the first 3 boys to the next 3 boys to we're with the last 3 boys now.
Oh, wow. So it's basically not just a family business in the sense that your parents work on it, but also your siblings.
It's a family business in that my sister takes pictures and does deliveries. My brothers do the feeding and the milking. My parents do the like taxes side of it I help them as well figure out everything. And I do the computer part.
So wow. So I mean, well, okay. So at this point, is it like a 1-to-1 animal to person ratio, or like how many animals and how many people are in this business?
We do sell sheep every year. So it's not like they just keep multiplying
Okay.
without end. Right now, 9 sheep are getting sheared. So there's 9 adults, and then there's adults. I don't think that's the proper term, but there's 9 full-grown sheep, and then there's 4 babies so far this year.
Okay. And how many family members are in the business?
There's 5 plus me. So there's 6.
Okay.
So it's like a 2-to-1.
Okay, 2-to-1. Okay, so at least that's good. I think that's like when parents have more than one kid, you have to have the whole what is it, like the not like the one-on-one approach, but when you have like the
Yes.
I don't know the sport word, but yeah, okay, you know what I mean. All right, well, that's really interesting that your dad and your family kind of just moved around and decided that based on where you're living, that was going to be what kind of got into it. But so basically no one in your family was like a fiber artist before, or did anything with like knitting or yarn stuff or anything like that?
Mom taught me how to crochet when I was young, and her mom crocheted as well. But that's about as far as we were into.
And so now, like, I know you said you were doing needle felting and you're into soap making and stuff like that, but like what kinds of products come from your animals? So I know you said the milk part, right? So do you still have the milk?
We make cheese from the milk, and my brother does that. He works with a local group here, and they make manchego and Gouda and feta cheese. And then I make curds from the whey that's left over from the cheese making. And then we also make lotion and soap. We work with a couple other spinners to turn the wool into yarn and bats. But I had never heard of needle felting at all until Wool and Fiber Arts Group, which was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I never even heard of it.
Totally. So what kind of sheep do you have? Like, are they like a certain breed?
East Fresian are a dairy breed. They're specifically a dairy breed.
Okay, so now I know you said that if they're a dairy breed, but you still have spinners that turn their fleece into yarn. Yeah. So I don't recall like ever spinning that fiber. If I did, it was many moons ago. So like, how would you describe their fiber? Because I know there's a difference between a sheep's fleece that's like grown for spinning versus like meat versus dairy, right?
Right. They're considered like a dual purpose sheep, or triple purpose, I suppose, in this case. So the wool is decent. The staple length is about 3.5 inches, so it's not super long. It's not one of those beautiful, 6-inch ones. And it's some people say the wool can be a little bit itchy. That's what people online say, like if you Google East Fresian sheep, but I haven't found that to be the case. I found it to be like a sturdy staple wool. So
you have their fiber though turned into roving, you said, and yarn.
So this is some yarn from our sheep. Let me see if I can get it to.
Oh yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
So
you actually have hand spinners that will spin the fiber into yarn as opposed to like sending the fiber off to mills.
Exactly. So
wow.
I really was not part of the business until about 3 years ago, and we had fleeces from years and years and years that were just accumulating, and we hadn't had much success selling them online. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do something with this, because my parents were like, we're just going to dump them all. There's no good. And I said, I'm going to find someone. And I found some groups on Facebook where you send the fiber and you do trades, and they keep half the fiber and then they mail back whatever the finished product is. So I did that with all of the old fleeces and made a bunch of bats. I had yarn sent back to me. I had dyed bats. I had dryer balls. I had some felted things. And that's when I thought, hey, I can do this. Dryer balls aren't that hard. I looked up how to make them. I got one of the fleeces myself and stuck it in a huge tub in my bathroom and filled it up with water. And I thought, oh no, now what am I supposed to do? I tried to roll it. It was so stinky. I had never had to do anything with a raw fleece. I'd always just packaged it up and mailed it to whoever bought it. So that was my first experience. And I was like, Mom, help me. My husband's getting mad. This thing stinks. It's been in the bathroom for a week. We only have one bathroom in the house. So she took it. And then I started with smaller quantities of wool instead of the whole fleece in a tub at once.
No, that's really interesting to me because, here, like you said, you only came into the business a couple of years ago. And so learning about how to do all the things with the fiber must have been a very interesting experience, especially with like COVID and not having like fiber festivals and things like that. So like, how did you learn about all of these, and just like looking online?
Looking online on Facebook, Googling, it was actually probably easier because of COVID since everything moved to digital. So it was easy for me to locate. I wouldn't have had time to go to fiber festivals or anything like that. So being able to find communities like WAFA and other Facebook groups, I was able to really find these people. So it was an
So
experience.
so yeah, so when did you decide like, okay, you know, like you said you were doing this now for a couple of years, right? So did you actually go into the business as the tech end, so to speak, as COVID began, or like how did that transition for you happen?
I believe it was a year before COVID, because
Okay.
COVID started in around January, February is when it got bad, or March. And I started in June when I said, okay, we're gonna do something with all these old fleeces. That's what started it. The fleeces that were full, that were needing to be dealt with, that's when we really started. So my first time as a WAFA vendor, I really didn't know anything about the products I was selling other than that they were from our sheep. Um, and that there was yarn and there was felted things and there was, bats, but it was, I'm not an expert by any means.
So in being part of this group, I know you said you learned about needle felting, right? But have you tried spinning? Have you tried other things in addition to needle felting?
Yes, I tried spinning with a drop spindle, and that was really cool. That was a new experience. I tried wet felting, and I made a like a landscape scene of sheep. Gave that to my mom.
Have you tried your hand at dyeing? Because that's a personal favorite too.
So I tried dyeing with like food dyes.
Yes.
That was fun. I tried dyeing with like Kool-Aid. I did a few things like that, and then whenever we started having farm tours, I would add that to the repertoire, to what we were showing people, and I would show them about needle felting and also about dyeing and have wool there that the kids could wet felt a little bead type thing with their hands. So
No, definitely. And then I think that's something too, like myself as a teacher, that whenever I was introducing the unit on fibers, even just like talking about it and giving someone a
yeah,
little piece of wool with water and soap, and like while you're talking, just having them do this, it's such
yep,
a great way to actually have them see the process kind of take place in front of their eyes, and also to see how like quickly and easily it can happen, you know, that you don't need expensive tools or machines, like you said, with the drop spindle or wet felting. I think part of the beauty of working with fiber sometimes is, yes, of course, you can get, you know, the most expensive drum carders and the spinning wheels and the large looms and all of that, but there's really ways that you can enjoy the fiber arts without having too much of a financial investment up front, to just kind of get a taste of what you like before, you know, investing further. So I think it's really cool that you know, you have the animal, and then you like try to figure out how to use all parts of the animal to get the most out of it. So that's really neat. And also the fact that now you, like you said, you live next door, so it really is, you know, this whole like full circle type of business and learning experience. So
for
I'm
sure.
kind of curious, like on the tech end, right? So obviously your parents are taking care of the animals and the farm. Were they like struggling with trying to figure out how to, like, I know you said that they just had the barn or the area that was like filled with all of the fleeces, but how did you see yourself as being like an integral part of the business, or like joining them in as far as like the tech end goes?
So it started with the fleeces and trying to find a way to sell them, and I listed them on eBay. And then I was like, you know what, we really need a Facebook page. Um, we were just starting to make cheese. We had not done cheese prior to that. It was just the milk. That was the only product that we had. And since milk is a perishable product, you can only sell to the people in your immediate vicinity. You can't really ship it without it being very expensive. So when we made cheese, I said, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm making a Facebook page. So I made a Facebook page, and then I started sharing it to all the local farming groups, Farm to Table, North Florida, all of the things. And that started gaining a lot of publicity. Then I made an Instagram. So I started linking the posts. They would just go, I don't have to do a million posts. I can just link those. Made an Etsy page for shippable products. And like that, as we added more and more products, it was, you have to find more and more windows to showcase these products.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that, maybe people that are on the consumer end, as far as like buying the products, they don't really like know or see, unless they're also a vendor themselves, what has to go into the getting the product to market, so like you might think, like, I know I always thought, oh man, it would be so much fun to be a yarn dyer. Like I would love to dye yarn, right? But the time that it takes to dye yarn might be an hour, let's say 2 hours, but then you have to like package it, you have to wash it, you have to list it, you have to photograph it. So it becomes like almost all of these jobs that you don't really take into account. And so like maybe you're a really good dyer, but you're not a good marketer. Or maybe you're like really good with like, like you said, scheduling posts between Facebook and Instagram and the tech side of it, but maybe not so much knowing like, well, what dyes work well with this fiber. And so I think it can be kind of overwhelming when you're first getting into the fiber art business, so to speak, because it seems like a great idea, like, oh, as a single person, I can be a craftsperson and I can make something, or I can sell my sheep's, products and fleeces, but there really is a lot of jobs and hats that you have to like be knowledgeable about and wear. So I'm kind of curious, what was your background before coming into this? Like, did you go to school for computer sciences or anything like that? Or how did you get into the tech side of it?
I was a teacher. I taught second grade for a few years, and then I got married, and I have 3 kids now. And I'm very close to my parents and my siblings, and I always do their computer stuff for them. So dad'll, hey, come and help me with this. I need you to type this for me. I learned how to type when I was young, and I was at like 150 words per minute. So since then it was, oh, she'll type it for us. She can do it because she can do it so much faster. And that's how the tech part, but no, I've had no formal training whatsoever in tech stuff.
Well, that's kind of cool, because then like in some ways we've walked similar paths in that sense, that coming from the teacher background and really into like typing fast and all of that, but then with the fiber arts, I think it's been really amazing having groups in places like you said, like Facebook and eBay and all of these different like online forums where we can share what we love, so I know that it's your family's farm, but just the idea that you can bring products to farmers and you can bring products to someone in California, and like you can meet the needs of people that are not necessarily local to you. And I think that's one of the really great things about this wool and fiber arts community, is that we can connect with people all over the world. We can make things very close to us. So it's not like you're making cheese that you have to go to like Wisconsin or whatever to go like watch how it's being produced, right? So there's this really neat, I think, balance between having things that are produced locally, but also giving the experience to people that may not be local to you, by sharing, like you said, the soaps. And so you send cheeses too, because I'm a big cheese fan. So I need to know, do these cheeses ship well?
It's so expensive to ship because you want it to be like next day so it can stay cool, or dry ice, and it gets pretty pricey.
Okay. Well, then I'll have to make sure that the next time I'm in Florida and I'm doing like a yarn crawl, that we also do like a sheep farm crawl too, and to stop by and to get some cheese. So in the spirit of it, being the Fiberside Chats, and we have these holidays that I've been celebrating, the holiday of the day. There were 2 holidays going on today. So there was National Pretzel Day, and then there was also National Organization Day. And so Yochani opted for talking about organization. So I'm kind of curious, because
cheese and pretzels are pretty good.
That's a great mix too. That's one of the things that always throws me off, right? Like if I ever go to any of those like farmers markets and they have like the little things, to taste, like the little samples, I love getting those little cheese things, but I never know what to like do with it as far as like a dish. So do you have any, before I get into the organization part, but do you have any like favorite ways you like to have your sheep's cheeses?
I personally like to eat them just like in blocks, like a cheese board.
Straight up. That's like how much better is that, right? Just plain straight up cheese.
Especially the manchego. It has a very, very strong flavor, but our customers post pictures of the things they cook with them, and they look really good too. Lasagnas, very good.
Oh, wow. So if there's any like favorite, family recipe when you're using East Fresian cheese or milk, like I would love if you could maybe like post it in the comments or just like to share with people. We could even put it in the Wool and Fiber Arts newsletter just so that we could see what are some ways to use sheep's milk cheese. Cause I've never really gone and done anything like you said, besides just eating the block of it, right? And just like, oh, like kind of I'm like Cookie Monster with cheese, just like give me all the cheese. But yeah, so I'm kind of curious though, as far as the tech side and organization, right? Because I know that like you're working with, pictures of the animals, then you're working with pictures of the products and stuff like that. So how do you keep all of that like tech information organized? Or is it just kind of like everything's in your download folder like me and you just hope for the best that you remember what day you took the picture?
I have a lot of things in my folders. I also have a lot on the computer though. I do reuse pictures sometimes as needed across the different platforms. For as far as posts go, I try to stick with, for example, Sunday will be like a product shout out. So I think of the name of the day and try and match that somehow.
Okay.
Or Sundays, I used to do like a joke. Every single Sunday morning there would be a joke. No, I'm sorry, Mondays, because it was like Mondays are horrible usually. And I would put a sheep related joke, usually very cheesy because, cheese jokes be, yes, very cheesy. Or things that have to do with play on words with use and things like that. So that's what I do for Monday. I would try to post the schedule of the week, the following week, like on Friday, so that people see where we're going to be, where they can pick things up. So that's how I would try to organize it by the day so that people can get used to seeing the posts day to day.
And so do you also do newsletters too?
I don't do newsletters just because I don't read newsletters. So I don't really have time to write them either.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so amazing how many different ways that people learn about like the products that like shepherds have, right? And so if you think about it, like you said, you have, Etsy, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. Have you like tried to go down the TikTok highway yet and like do dances with your sheep?
I made an account and I'm hoping that this summer I get more into it. But right now I'm following a bunch of the waffle vendors. That's about all I follow. And I put up a few of the videos that I already made for the other platforms and I posted them there as well.
Yeah. So have you found like one type of like software or like platform that you just like to use where it like disseminates everything? Because I feel, I'm constantly bouncing around from one place to the other trying to figure out how to share things.
Facebook is my favorite. I'm most familiar with Facebook. So I tend to post on Facebook more than on the other platforms. Instagram and Facebook are linked. So if I post first to Instagram, it automatically posts to Facebook. And as well as the messages. If someone messages me on Instagram, I see it in my Facebook messages. So those two are linked. TikTok is different. So that one's an adventure.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious for those people that are watching the interview now, especially if you're watching with us live, if you could just put in the comments, where do you like to get your information about your favorite, fiber vendors or fiber products? Because it's really something that I think a lot of the vendors might, I don't want to say like struggle with, but like there's I don't know, it's not even like a dirty word, but I'm trying to think of how to describe it. There's this word called algorithm, right? And it's like you're battling this invisible beast. Okay, so imagine you're blindfolded and you have like a sword in your hand where you're just kind of like stabbing at the dark, hoping that you're going to reach your people. And so like you said, you don't read newsletters, and I know there's some people that are like, I don't want to go on Facebook, my family got too political and I'm not going there. And then some people say like, well, Instagram, it's like too confusing, I don't know how to follow it, I'm not going there. And then there are people like myself that are like, okay, I understand, TikTok, whatever, but I'm someone that's a very long-winded person. I don't do abbreviated like 15, I can't do, I'm not concise, right? So the idea of doing something for like 30 seconds it's anxiety inducing. I'm like, oh my God, how am I supposed to, I can't even get the sentence out in 15 seconds. So it's just,
I'm the opposite.
You're like, boom, that's it.
Yeah. On Facebook, it's like, when I'm a waffle vendor, okay, it's been 15 minutes. I don't have anything else to say. Now what am I supposed to do?
Okay, I'm just going to end the video and we're going to hit replay and just watch it a second time. It's the same information. There
Exactly.
you go. Yeah.
On my last time, I had my brother bring one of the sheep upstairs here in my office. I don't know what else am I supposed to say? So I sent him a message saying, hey, whenever it's, 20 minutes left, please come bring a sheep. I know I'm going to be done talking by then.
The sheep is probably like, what am I doing in here? Like, where's the treats, That's funny. So, I mean, how was that experience? Like, was the sheep cool with like just, traipsing through the house?
My brother held him. Put a towel down on the floor and it was okay.
Supposed to going out to where the sheep is to make it easy for him. It's like, no, come on, come inside, bring the sheep in.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's funny. No, I know sometimes when I've done lives that, I have this cat, his name is Glenn, and people like love to see pictures of him. And so my son knows that people love Glenn. And so now when I'm going live, he'll open the door even when I don't want Glenn to be in here. And so Glenn, sometimes comes in, but then I have like other cats that can come in too. And then they'll start like climbing on things. And I'm like, no, like keep them out. But, yeah, definitely. I think people love the animals way more than the people, like give me the cute sheep, give me the cute, lambs. Now I know you said it's shearing day and it is a little bit drizzling and overcast. So do you think that if we can't see the shearing of your sheep, because that's going on right now, do you think that once we stop with the Fiberside chats, you can go and take some video so we can see? Okay. Because that would be really awesome. So you don't have to bring like the sheep and the shearer into your office.
I know I went live on the WAFA page or the WAFA group last year whenever it was shearing day as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Because I mean, and I think it's really interesting too, because like when you see the sheep getting sheared, especially like if you do go to a festival, they sometimes have like the little stands that they'll put the sheep in, or you might see the shearer kind of like manhandling the sheep. And, some people might think like, oh, you're like hurting the sheep and stuff like that. But
no, they feel such relief.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, especially with COVID, right? Like when was the last time you got a haircut before COVID happened? And then when did you get your first haircut? And I know that once I got that first haircut, it was like, I felt like a new human being, right? So it's like, sometimes, the sheep are just like, oh, get this off of me. And, they quickly realize that you're obviously not there to hurt them, that you're there to help them.
And the sheep act so peaceful when they're getting sheared. It's like they know that the shearer knows what he's doing and they just sit there and then he turns them around and they're very peaceful during the whole process. Someone even asked if giving them medicine to make them so peaceful. And I said, no, when the shearer knows what they're doing, the sheep are peaceful.
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing. Like if you bring your pets to go get like their toenails cut or something like that at, a groomer's, right? Like I know if I tried to cut my dog's toenails, he'll be screaming bloody murder, but I drop him off. I don't hear any screaming. And then like he comes out, he looks all happy. And I'm looking at the, person that just cut his toenails, like what magic, wand were you using, thinking that maybe it's the device and not just the energy of the person, right? So like if you're going into a situation all like high strung, like, oh man, I have to cut this, toenail of a dog or like shear a sheep, then the animal is going to pick up on that energy. But I think when you go into those situations, calm, like, okay, I'm just going to give you a haircut, just like with the little kid, sometimes like little kids can be afraid of the scissors coming at their face, but eventually they learn that, okay, this human, is a good human. They're not going to hurt me unless like, I know my mom, when I was little, tried to cut my hair and she almost like clipped the top of my ear. So I never trusted her with scissors, but all the other hairdressers, they were cool. So what part, because I know you said you have your siblings and you have one that's working with like the dairy end. So do any of them do fiber art things too? Like have any of them gotten into spinning or any of that? No?
No, I've had them play with needle felting. So I make kits for beginners because that's what I am. And I've had some of them try out the kits. So they like it, but they're all boys. The last 6 kids in the family were all boys. So they're not really into the fiber things. I have one brother who would probably, I know that he wants to make soap with me. So he keeps saying, next time you make soap, let me know. I've just been really busy, so I haven't yet. But these are what the soaps look like.
Wow.
This is an olive oil sheet milk soap. And this one is let me get the other one here. It's the same mold, so it's similar pictures. This one's a coconut oil sheet milk soap as well.
Oh, wow. So now when you use sheep's milk in the soap, what kind of like qualities or properties does it do to the soap or bring to the soap as opposed to like a regular bar of soap?
Well, regular bar of soap, there's so many regular bars of soap. It's kind of hard to compare it to that.
Well, I'm just saying like, what is like the benefit or,
Sheep milk is a lot more moisturizing. So we even had some customers and they would say that would freeze the milk and then unfreeze it and just like rub it on their face because it was so moisturizing. So that was one of the reasons we actually started making lotion, because people were saying that. But very moisturizing because it has a higher fat content. So that's why.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because I've never used sheep's milk soap before. So I'm kind of curious, especially I know with like the other, well, yeah, because like with the other vendors too, like if they use beeswax and just I think the whole process of using all parts of the animal. So do you eat your sheep's meat as well? Like are they
We don't, we
okay.
don't, but some people do.
Okay. So it's one that could be if you wanted to, but you just don't. Okay. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, like I said, all of the different products that you can get, right? So not only can you get yarn and fiber for spinning and all of that, but then you can get the soap, the milk, the, you know, the cheese, like it's just amazing what one animal can do to, you know, provide for you when you have that. And you said you also have chickens too?
We do. We have a few.
So what is the full range? So you got the sheep, you got the chickens, and who
And
else do
one
you have?
dog. That's it.
Oh, that's it, just sheep and chickens.
And one dog.
And one dog. Okay, but the dog doesn't produce anything, right?
He doesn't produce anything.
Well, you know, have you ever tried to spin? Well, I know you said you only did the drop spindling, so you're not much of a spinner, but or do you spin now on the drop spindle? Is that your thing, or you just tried it?
I just tried it a little bit for fun when I was first getting into WAFA and all of that, and it was fun. We had a lady come out for some of our farm tours, and she has a lot of wheels, and she got our bats and she would spin them into yarn to show people what the actual spinning process was like. So
Okay, so you have like, so those people then come and like volunteer when they
yeah.
do when you have the tours and everything like that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. And especially I'm sure as being a teacher, it's really, I don't know, I'm presuming here, so let me know if I'm wrong, but it's probably exciting to educate people about all of the different things, right, that are going on
Sure.
at the farm.
Yes. We have a lot of homeschool groups that come out. So I try and schedule a few a year and we get 40, 50, 60 people. So
Oh, wow.
I use the whole teacher mentality. So I separate them into centers and you have a group here and then you go and do this over here and rotate so that everyone's not in the same place at once.
Wow. I mean, that's so awesome that you can take your skills that you know, like worked on and gathered and collected in one past life career, so to speak, and then apply it to this new career. So, I mean, is this something that you see yourself doing, you know, long term? Like, do you really enjoy it? Do you ever think you're going to go back into teaching, or like, how do you see yourself in the fiber art world going forward?
I'm still teaching like as a teacher. I do it online now, 2 days a week. But I do love making soap. That's my new hobby. So right now, that's when I have free time. It's I want to make some more soap. So that's the rabbit hole that I'm in right now. But I hope to get back into spinning one day, or get into spinning one day, and keep going with the needle felting because it's fun. I see some very talented inspiration on the WAFA group. So
Yeah, no, and I think you know, what's really wonderful about being a fiber supplier is that you, like you were saying, trying to think of all the things you could do with the sheep as far as the products that you can make. But then it's also really like you said, the rabbit holes of when you realize all of the different crafts that can be you know, like followed or pursued and learned about just by simply having the source of the fiber, right? So, you know, even things like rug hooking, you know, all the way to like decorative arts and more functional things. And it's just, it's so amazing, all of the different like actual crafts and products that can be created and come from, and so different too, right? Like needle felting is so different than weaving, you know, like that it's not like, it's like maybe knitting and crocheting are similar, but just the ends of the spectrum, right? Of like all of the different things that you can make. So is there something that you've had someone that purchased a fleece from you do with the fiber that you were just like really blown away by what they created?
oh, yes. Whenever I first started making the Facebook page, I was trying to contact people who had bought fleeces from us before, just so I could showcase what the fleece could be turned into. And one lady sent me pictures, and she makes these like cat beds, and it looks like a little piece of heaven. It's super soft, and it's from our fleeces. I don't know how she makes them, but they were just like this huge cat bed pillow thing. So That was
Well,
really
if you have any pictures, again, if you could post them in the comment, after we're done going live, just so that people that are watching it either on the replay or they can come back and check it out. That would be cool. Or like I said, even send it to me and we can put it in the newsletter so that people can see, they can see the pictures there, but then also if they didn't get to catch this Fiberside chat, they can come and watch it to see what we were talking about. But yeah, definitely. I know with having cats and just the smell of a raw fleece is so enticing to a cat, because it's like this animal, but there's no animal that's being like a threat to them, so it's just the smell. And my cats were fighting over who got to sleep in. I had another fleece that I had out, and they were fighting over who got to sleep in the bag that smelled like the sheep. So it's definitely even appealing to the cats too, not just the humans to sniff the fleece and enjoy the fleece.
I see. I did not know that they liked it that much.
Yeah, no, and well, what's interesting, even more so than sheep, and I don't know like why this is, but my cat Glenn, he for some reason has like such a affinity for silk. And he loves the way that like silk, smells and all of that. And I had a little baggie that had like a sample of silk noils in it. And his favorite thing to do was to go and pull out the silk noil and like strew, like basically spread it throughout the house. And then I would go collect it, gather it, put it back in the bag, because that's where I wanted it to be. And then the next day it would be all spread out. So then I realized as a cat toy, well, this is entertaining him. So this is just going to be his toy and I'll just get my own bag of silk. But yeah, cats are very unusual creatures in that sense. So all right, so I'm going to go and check out and see if there are any comments here. Okay. All right, so someone said that the internet says that the micron count for East Fresian is 29 to 33. So do you ever test out the micron count of your sheep or do any, genetic kind of stuff like that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, fair enough.
There.
Oh, so there's some people that said, I would like to spin for you. So there you go. So if you're still, giving fleeces away and doing part of that exchange where you can keep some of the fleece and get the hand spun, just, let people know if that's something that they can still contact you about.
Okay. I need to see what the fleece shearing day looks like today. Like right now they're out there shearing and I have to see, look at all the fleeces and we have to make those decisions. So I'm not sure yet, but if they follow our Facebook page, I'll be posting on there if we do. Okay, sounds good. And then someone else said your lotion is excellent. So there you go. There's a testimonial right there of the sheep's milk soap. Okay, so when I was asking people, right, where do you hear about or learn about the fiber producers and vendors? Someone said Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and someone else said Facebook. Now, obviously, we're on Facebook now, so I'm just going to assume that that's where most people are getting their information about vendors and fiber art products. But yeah, it is really interesting how there are also people that are maybe moving away from Etsy and they want to have their own website and kind of be a standalone company and have it be like a standalone thing. And then there are also other places where they just want to cater to people that dye yarn, or they just want to cater to just having fleece. So it's like there's almost so many choices that it can kind of become overwhelming, right? Like where do you even go to get all of that information about the products and the people that you want to follow? But definitely, I think because we're on Facebook, that's going to be what people are most comfortable with. But are you still then on Etsy, or do you also have a website for your farm as well? I'm on Etsy. I don't have all of our products because again, the shippable part of it, and it's hard to get traffic to Etsy because there's so many people who have similar products. But I am on Etsy.
Yeah, and I think that's also what's hard with Facebook too, because I know you need to have like a physical product, so you can't have a digital product as far as like having a store. So that can be really difficult if you're like a yarn designer and you have a pattern that you wanted to sell to someone, but you want it to be digital and not like be a physical piece of paper. So there's all of these challenges in the different platforms that you use in order to be able to get your products out to people. But again, I think that the Wool and Fiber Arts Group is an amazing place because it really allows people, no matter whether they are a fiber producer or if they're more on the tech end like yourself, or like teachers like myself, that it's giving us a place where we can share what we love with the community and also have that interaction with the community to know like what people are interested in learning more about and hearing about. So I'm really excited to see whatever you can capture for us today of this shearing. That's going to be awesome. And if you create any other soaps, please let me know. I would love to be able to try one out. I don't know if you have some that are available right now, but I'm really curious to see what sheep's milk soap is like, especially since that's your passion. Now, when you make them, just before we go, do you put like any scents or like essential oils in them, or is it just unscented?
They're scented with essential oil. I make a couple custom ones. Someone just asked for unscented. So I did make a batch of unscented about 6 weeks ago because I just mailed them off. They have to cure for 6 weeks once they're made so that they can harden. But yes, I do use essential oils. So this
Okay.
one,
That's good to know. Yeah, I know, because definitely having the unscented is nice for those.
hold on. This one's lemon. I'm trying to see how you can see it. The one right in front of me.
Yep.
But yes, I have different scents.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And is there anything else that you would like to share with people before we go?
I just sent you the picture of the cat bed that was made from
Okay.
pieces. So you do have that. And thank you everyone who's been watching and listening and who watches the WAFA sale week and these Fiberside chats. And it was an honor to have the interview. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me today, Yochani. And for those of you that are watching this on the replay, just know that you can go ahead and tag either myself or Yochani in the comments if you have any questions for us, so we can come and answer them for you. And then next week on May 3rd, so that's Tuesday at 1 p.m., I'm going to be interviewing Michelle Barrett of MAB Elements. So she makes shawl pins. So I'm really excited to be able to talk to her. So if you would like to join us, I'm going to go ahead and make an event in the group. So just go ahead and click going on the group, on the event rather, and then Facebook will send you a reminder to let you know when we are going live. So thank you everyone. Thank you again, Yochani, for being such a special guest today. And I hope everybody has a great week. Take care.